This is a phony, one-sided competition. Angel Reese excessively continued to criticize Caitlin Clark. Needlessly, you're having a blast partying in Indiana. Every clip is visible to us. How come you can't just do what you want to do? Do you want to witness the precise moment that Angel Reese's publicity stunt backfired? Imagine this. Thinking she's going to steal the show in Indianapolis, she launches her shoe ad in the midst of WNBA All-Star Weekend, plastering herself everywhere. The issue? Injury to Caitlin Clark occurs. The cost of tickets drops 48%. All of a sudden, it appears as though Reese is attempting to take advantage of an empty stage with her entire campaign. The figures are honest. No one gives a damn about the showmanship when Clark is out. We're dissecting all of Reese's embarrassing moments from that weekend and how she's being ruined. Leave a comment below to make fun of Baby Giraffe's most recent antics. Come on. However, it's obvious that this is a one-sided quarrel, and the one-sided beef is not from Caitlin Clark. So why do Sarah Spain and the media keep suggesting that Caitlin Clark needs to do something to stop all of this? Everyone believed that women's basketball would finally become a part of the mainstream sports culture during All-Star Weekend. Do you know what was expected to occur? Reese versus Clark in Indianapolis. Yelling in crowded arenas. Record audience figures that would force ESPN management to take women's sports seriously. It was all staged like a Hollywood script. However, we do begin our show with some bad news from the WNBA. After aggravating a groin injury in the last minute of Tuesday's game, Caitlin Clark said today that she will miss the WNBA All-Star Game and the three-point competition this coming weekend in Indiana. Defeat the Connecticut Sun. Fans are very upset that Clark will miss this weekend's festivities after missing 4 games and the Commissioner Cup final due to a groin injury earlier this month. But you know that if there was any chance she could miss them, she would. However, a few days prior to the weekend, Clark's groin injury was revealed. All of a sudden, the foundation begins to crack. For months, fans had been organizing this trip. To see Caitlin Clark play in her hometown, they expressly purchased tickets to Indianapolis. The hotels were completely booked. Restaurants were getting ready for customers they hadn't encountered since the NCAA competition. March Madness is coming to town. Already, the marketing campaigns were moving forward at full speed. With the expectation that the Clark-Reese rivalry would draw attention and involvement, corporate sponsors had invested a significant amount of money in this weekend. Nike was prepared with limited editions. ESPN was marketing this as a must-watch show. Countdown tweets and speculations about who would win were all over social media. We have been following this news of Caitlin Clark, a superstar, for the past 2 days. Caitlin Clark, the star of the Indiana Fever and WNBA. She will miss all of the judicial proceedings. The ideal setting for her was intended to be Clark's home state advantage. In order to demonstrate to the rest of the league what true basketball fervor looks like, Indiana fans were prepared to pack Gainbridge Fieldhouse. The plot was written by itself. The biggest WNBA event of the year has a hometown hero. Then, when word of Clark's injury circulated on social media, the cascading effects began to take shape. All of those meticulously planned marketing strategies suddenly appeared dubious. The primary plot point in which everyone was interested abruptly disappeared. The sound of the approaching air was almost audible. From the balloon. You know what happens when Caitlin Clark gets hurt? People won't pay to see these sportsmen who aren't appreciative of their sport's growth. Thus your demand disappears. For it, people aren't paying. And here we are, exactly here. The price of the tickets for this All-Star game has decreased by 50%. This wasn't simply any player suffering an injury. By himself, Clark had opened the league's eyes. She converted casual fans of sports into WNBA enthusiasts. She convinced those who had no interest in women's basketball to watch in order to experience the excitement. Roughly, the player who truly made a difference was lost when she was gone. What should have been a championship weekend for women's basketball instead turned into a case study of how flimsy the WNBA's momentum is. All of that anticipation, all of that build-up, and all of those corporate funds staking their bets on unprecedented success. When she couldn't, it all depended on one person being well enough to play. It was clear how crucial Clark's star power was to the league's recent expansion. However, the stores and vendors in the arena will not see the same level of business as they would if Caitlin Clark was present. Businesses in the neighboring restaurants, neighborhoods, and tourist destinations won't see as many customers as they would if Caitlin Clark were in good health. The well-organized celebration of women's basketball ended up serving as a reminder of the league's ongoing challenges. However, someone else saw a chance to make the weekend all about them, while Clark was coping with a real ailment and disappointed supporters who truly wanted to see her play. Caitlin Clark is being used as a prop by Reebok and Angel Reese. Now, let's be clear, Angel Reese. Let's be completely clear about this. An excellent basketball player is Angel Reese. At every opportunity, Angel Reese has profited from her attachment to Caitlin Clark. In the first 3 episodes of her podcast, Caitlin Clark was mentioned in every promotional clip. Caitlin Clark and the entire commercial were being mentioned. Everyone was curious to hear her words. She promoted Caitlin Clark. Imagine launching your largest marketing campaign in your competitor's hometown while she is unable to defend her territory due to an injury. During All-Star Weekend, Angel Reese did just that with her "I'm in your city" ad. Indianapolis. In Caitlin Clark's backyard, she used billboards, social media promotions, and messaging that shouted territorial takeover to announce the introduction of her Reebok signature shoe. "I'm in your city, Angel Reese. Get caught in your trap. Occupy your trap." Share it on Instagram. Reebok set up a board, and there are roughly 15 fans present. As one might anticipate, Reebok would post a board. We must never forget the massive Caitlin Clark Nike billboard in Chicago when we were there. We must always remember that. Thus, if Reebok didn't post a board for Angel Reese, depending on your point of view, the timing couldn't have been more premeditated or worse. Given that this was Clark's home field, Reese's team planned the entire campaign on being in Indianapolis. The sneaker launch was more than just a product introduction. Making a statement in hostile territory was the goal. Nobody loves it when you keep shooting at her and then she shoots back. Videos of Caitlin Clark actually disparaging Angel Reese are not available to us. Take a look at what Reebok and Angel Reese are doing for views. Get caught in your trap. Take control of your trap. This is a promotion for Caitlin Clark's show in Indianapolis. It's an obvious shot. The shot is obvious. This is a phony rivalry, as I mentioned. I believe you've defeated Caitlin Clark in one game. In Indiana, you've never won at all. It's as if you keep using her promotion and becoming attached to her at every opportunity. Let's be honest about what transpired. On social media, Reese posted messages that read, "Walk in your trap. Take over your trap." She even used the song "Take Over Your Trap" by Bankroll Fresh on her Instagram story. Fans' reactions on social media told the whole story, with some praising the marketing strategy and others questioning why Reese felt the need to go this hard when Clark was dealing with a legitimate injury. The comments ranged from lighthearted jokes to outright criticism about the timing. You know what it sounds like when your main competitor is sitting out with an injury? It sounds like you're trying to claim victory in a fight where your opponent can't even show up. When it comes to injuries, Caitlin Clark has never used a derogatory term or been honest about her own performance. She didn't need to say, "I'm taking over Chicago," but she went ahead and scored 30 points, 31 assists, and 12 points, setting a career high of 12 assists and becoming the only player in WNBA history to have 31 and 12 points in a game. She then attempted to energize the Chicago crowd, so it's fair enough. Then display it using your activities. Don't just say, "This is my city," but go and win MVP. Don't simply enter and declare, "This is my city." The interesting part is that when Clark's absence became official, Reese doubled down rather than changing her strategy. Other players in the league showed respect for Clark's situation and said, "You've never won a game." Has she won a game in Indiana? I don't think she's ever won a game in Indiana. I actually don't think she has won a pro game in Indiana. Tone down any competitive messaging, but not Reese, who continued to push the campaign forward as if nothing had changed. As other All-Stars concentrated on celebrating the weekend and the league's expansion, Reese was out there trying to make it all about her rivalry with someone who couldn't even defend herself on the court. According to one video analysis, Reese's team was incredibly good at marketing and created the campaign to create conversation, even if it was negative. Now that she's using Reebok, this is constant. She has made millions of dollars by tying herself to Caitlin Clark and using her to expand her brand. But let's be clear, she has benefited greatly from every turn. What was supposed to be a bold marketing move instead came across as trying to win a game where your opponent couldn't even suit up. You're talking about taking over someone's city while they're injured and can't play. That's not competition. That's opportunism dressed up as confidence. The real evidence of how badly this backfired was written in cold, hard numbers. This is a one-sided, absolutely one-solid, and one-sided rivalry. And we've got to say it like it is. Like, we can't say Caitlin needs to do this, Caitlin needs to do that. Let's be honest. The only reason this rivalry is still going strong is because the opposing team won't stop it. Ree was out there throwing punches at the air while Clark was struggling with real basketball issues. Be in this rivalry. If you want to know exactly how much Caitlin Clark is worth to the WNBA, just look at what happened when she was unable to play. The ticket prices fell from $121 to $64, a 48% drop that occurred almost overnight when the news of her injury broke. This wasn't just a slight drop. The market was screaming that the product would lose nearly half its value without Clark. According to TickPick data, the All-Star Game was supposed to be the most expensive in league history, with an average purchase price of $262 prior to Clark's injury. The demand for the tickets fell off a cliff faster than Angel Reese's credibility. The get-in price for the WNBA All-Star Game in Indianapolis has dropped 48% from $121 a ticket to $64 a ticket after the news broke that Caitlin Clark won't be playing. An NBA Central Post from July 8th illustrates how the entire weekend's economic opportunities have been affected. It's not just the Encore product that suffers without number 22 Caitlin Clark. In other words, the tickets lost half of their value. The TickPick's website, which now has the All-Star Games for $64, attests to these figures. Additionally, a front office sports piece from July 16th that was published prior to Clark's announcement that she would be sitting out was $121. Do you know how this will affect other high-profile matches? In ways the WNBA has never experienced before, Clark's presence increases demand everywhere. Resale prices for Fever Road games fell 47% for a Washington game and 71% for a Chicago game after she missed regular season games in late May due to a quad issue. That is not the typical impact of an athlete. Superstar economics is that TV networks and corporate sponsors were forced to quickly modify their coverage strategies and expectations. WNBA Experience's event packages have already sold out. The arena sold out of seats in a matter of hours. Releases. When the major draw failed to materialize, all of that preparation and money appeared to be in vain. Following the announcement that Caitlin Clark will not be playing, the price dropped from $121 to just $64. These are individuals who say, "I'm done. I don't want to watch Caitlin Clark's not. I bought tickets solely to watch Caitlin Clark in the All-Star Game. I made accommodations solely to get to Indiana to watch Caitlin Clark in the All-Star Game. She's injured. I have no interest in that anymore." People simply want to get off of them because they are selling so many tickets. $120. All right. Do you want to pay $100? Oh no. All right. I suppose I must reduce it to $80. You don't want to spend $80 on it? All right. I suppose I'll reduce it to $70. Buying it to $70 is not what you want to do. I suppose I will reduce it to $64. The WNBA is keeping an eye on these developments and is witnessing firsthand Caitlin Clark's value to the league. Sales of merchandise, concession earnings, and hotel reservations were all impacted. In the city of Indianapolis, businesses in the area relied on Clark to attract thousands of fans to the city. Restaurants got ready for the largest crowds since March Madness. Anticipating a surge in basketball tourism, hotels booked up. The impact of Clark's absence extended beyond ticket sales. It harmed the event's whole economic environment. This highlights the league's reliance on a single individual, which is advantageous and disadvantageous. Clark is a transcendent star who generates previously unheard-of levels of attention and income. However, the entire foundation begins to sway when one star goes out. No other player in the WNBA right now pushes the needle similar to this. It's a shame Kane Clark didn't attend. There would have been an explosion in the audience. There would have been an explosion in the audience. It would have exploded in the arena. Oh yeah, that is a huge miss from the perspective of the WNBA. Let's be honest about what these figures demonstrated. Seeing a 48% decrease in ticket prices confirmed everyone's suspicions that Clark wasn't simply another celebrity. At the moment, she is the show. She was the focal point of the WNBA's whole All-Star weekend. Presence, and people practically paid half as much for the experience without her. The market is honest. The players determined that now was the ideal moment to establish their own demands, as the economy was collapsing and demonstrating Clark's indispensability. Demanding more money while your biggest draw is hurt and ticket prices are falling is the epitome of read the room. When WNBA players chose to wear "Pay us what you owe us" shirts during All-Star Game warm-ups, that's precisely what happened. Couldn't have come at a worse time. The arrival of the protest shirts coincided with the weekend's lowest point in fan sentiment. Because Caitlin Clark was unable to play, the event's ticket price dropped by over half, and the participants decided to demand more money at that very moment. Do you know how that would appear to supporters who have just witnessed their investment lose 48% of its value in a single day? We've never had to witness something like that in athletics, and if you screw about, a huge contingent of fans will say, "Enough is enough." But unlike this league, you don't see these other leagues constantly boasting about their fan bases. It never stops. They're operating there. Talk negatively about the individuals who are paying to see them. There are no other jobs where people approach you. You work in a public position where everyone can see you. Players demanded a larger share of the pie at the very moment when the worth of their product was being questioned. The WNBA is currently negotiating a CBA with players who are demanding improved travel conditions, increased pay, broader rosters, and greater assistance for moms. Although the timing gave the impression that the players were totally oblivious to the economic reality unfolding in real time, these are valid worries that merit consideration. Let's be honest about how the fans responded to this. The irony of asking more money when half the audience only showed up for one player who wasn't even there was brought to light by the outpouring of anger on social media. Many supporters felt that the players were biting the hand that feeds them, and comments varied from perplexity to downright rage. The visuals were awful. Over the past few days, a number of coaches and players have voiced their dissatisfaction with officiating without merit. Since there appears to be a discrepancy between what coaches and players believe and what officials are actually calling, I would like to know your opinion on if officiating is a problem and how it may be improved. The justifiable complaints that underlie due to the bad timing, the protest was lost. Particularly with a new $2, players are angry that their pay hasn't increased in line with the league's expansion. Beginning in 2026, a $2 billion media rights agreement. The league strategy, which prioritized wage caps over satisfying players' demands for a more fair revenue distribution, was attacked by WNBPA President Nneka Owick. What do other professional leagues do, Labor protests are not held during their major showcase events. During All-Star Weekend, NBA players are not allowed to wear protest shirts. The Super Bowl is not a venue for the NFL to disagreements over contracts. All-Star Weekend isn't the right time or venue for these discussions. What was already turning into a miserable weekend for supporters was made even worse by this. Following Clark's injury, ticket sales plummet, players begin to demand higher fees, and the entire situation collapses. Players reject the talks as a lost chance, despite Commissioner Kathy Angelberg calling the talks fruitful and helpful. Having been a sports fan for 60 years, I am aware that no one is ever satisfied with officiating. Every sport deals with it. However, we're working hard to ensure that our officiating matches the greatest product we're presenting on the floor. Although the protest brought attention to legitimate problems, it came off as players asking for pay increases while their top star was out of commission and their product was becoming less valuable. It wasn't Clark who wore protest shirts during warm-ups, but even she stated, "We should be paid more." Here's why, in the long term, none of this gloom and doom matters. This last weekend demonstrated Clark's versatility. She is the cornerstone around which the growth of the entire league is based. The ticket prices plummet by 48% as she falls. The WNBA sets attendance records and receives unprecedented public attention when she is healthy. In Indianapolis, Angel Reese is free to start any shoe marketing she desires. She can act as though she's taking over by plastering "I'm in your city" billboards everywhere. But what do you know? Her marketing gimmicks don't matter to the numbers. Fans lost interest and stayed at home. So Reese was essentially shadow boxing in an empty gym without Clark to truly compete against. This loss will only strengthen Clark's comeback and increase the allure of the Fever's 2025 championship run. Remark: beneath the newborn giraffe to mock Reese's most recent antics. To ensure you don't miss anything, like, subscribe, and enable all notifications.